Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Single Guy's Kitchen. Today we're gonna make lentils, Cuban style, potaje de lenteja. Let's check it out. Okay, so the first thing I want to point out is that there isn't an exact recipe to make lentils Cuban style. There's a lot of cultural variations throughout the island, and so what people add to their lentils or their beans and things like that sort of varies a lot. So I always encounter people when I post these things on social media, they'll tell me, but lentils don't have that, or chicharrones or black beans don't typically take that. I mean, it's up to the person. Like I say, there are ingredients that are used most of the time, but there are other ingredients that people choose to add to these things. It doesn't mean they are wrong for doing that. It's just what they grew up doing or seeing their parents or their mom or grandma do. And so there's nothing wrong with that. So I always encounter these people that, feel that all the recipes for Cuban food are written in stone and there cannot be any variation. And that's just not right. Try new things, experiment with your recipes and have fun with them. Because that's what cooking is about. Cooking is about, expressing yourself through your cooking and giving the people that you're sharing the meals with the best experience possible. Okay, so to make lentils, I have all of these ingredients here. So the first thing that I'm gonna show you are the lentils. So here is about 1.5 pounds of lentils. Then we have some vegetables that I'm gonna add. I have potatoes already nice and peeled. And then I also have green plantains and pumpkin squash, calabaza, which we use these for a lot of different types of beans and soups and things like that. So we use calabaza pretty often. So I'm gonna add this to the lentils today. To flavor the lentils, I'm gonna use a ham hock. So we use ham hock for beans, like split peas, for example. For red beans, we always use some sort of smoked pork, typically a ham hock. So for the sofrito, the base seasoning, I have all of the ingredients right here that I'm going to use today. So I have obviously tomato sauce because most of our sofritos are tomato based. Not all of them, but many are. I have some chopped cilantro. I also have culantro, which is very typically used in Cuban cooking for beans and soups and stews and things like that. You might know this as Thai cilantro, but we call it culantro. I have about a teaspoon of oregano, dry oregano. I have a packet of Goya seasoning with saffron, which gives it a great taste and adds a little bit of color to it. I also have about 2 teaspoons of sazon completa, complete seasoning, which again, it's a mixture of spices that we use for a lot of different dishes. I also have a teaspoon of cumin, which I'm gonna use here. We also use cumin for a lot of different types of beans. I have some chopped onions, some garlic, and I have some mojo criollo, Spanish marinade, to add a little bit of extra flavor there. I'm gonna also use some red bell pepper. You can use green bell pepper, doesn't matter. I'm just gonna use red bell pepper today. And then for the sofrito, to add a little bit of the pork flavor there, I'm gonna use Spanish chorizo, which is awesome for a lot of different types of foods. We use it mostly, to make beans and to make certain stews and things like that. And then I'm gonna also use salt pork for the sofrito. So let's get started with that. Okay, so I have my pressure cooker ready and I'm just gonna add the ham hock to it. And that's all I'm gonna cook here, just the ham hock. And it's gonna cook for between 25 and 30 minutes until the meat just comes off the bone. Once the ham hock is done, then we're gonna add the lentils to this and cook the lentils until they're tender. So for the sofrito today, I'm going to use a couple of tablespoons of rendered pork fat. Yep, I'm gonna be bad. And this is what I'm going to use to cook all the ingredients. So as soon as this is melted and ready, then I'm going to start adding all of my ingredients. Okay, so I'm gonna first add my meats. So the chorizo goes in first, and then the salt pork. And we're gonna cook this for a couple of minutes. And then once this is somewhat cooked, semi-cooked, we'll start adding the rest of the ingredients for the sofrito. Okay, so in goes the garlic, our onions, the bell pepper, and we're gonna add our cumin in there. Made a mess. Our sazon completa, complete seasoning. Then I'm gonna add my oregano. I'm gonna add my little packet of seasoning, the Goya seasoning. And then I'm gonna add my cilantro, my mojo criollo, and my tomato sauce. The last thing I will add to this will be the culantro leaves. I always add this last. Okay, so we're gonna let this cook for about 5 to 7 minutes until the meat is well cooked and all the juices have been released from the meat. And then once this is done, we'll just set it aside and wait for the ham hock and the lentils to be ready so we can add the seasoning to it. Okay, so once the ham hock is ready, then we're going to add the lentils, right? And we are also going to add the potatoes. And we are going to also add the green plantains. The pumpkin squash will be added very last because, as I've said in previous videos, the pumpkin squash cooks very quickly. And so if I put it in with the other root vegetables, by the time the food is ready, the pumpkin squash will be broken down and disappeared. So we put it last so that it's the last thing to cook with the lentils. Okay, now that our lentils are cooked, now we're going to go ahead and add the pumpkin squash. And now I am also going to add the base seasoning to the lentils. So this is what will give the lentils the final touch, the final flavor that we're looking for. Let me make sure that I get all of that seasoning in there. Okay, so now we just let it cook until the pumpkin squash is tender, and we should be ready. So one thing we need to make sure we do now is taste the lentils, because even though the seasonings come with salt, and I used salt pork for the base seasoning, we gotta make sure that the taste is okay. If it needs any more salt or any more seasonings, that you can add more at this point before it begins to boil again in the pressure cooker. And so I'm not gonna give it pressure. I'm just gonna cook it as a stew and just let the pumpkin squash completely cook and be tender. And then we're done. So I'm gonna try it out to see the level of salt, if it needs anything else. It's actually pretty good. I think the salt pork did the trick. So we're now just gonna let it cook, and we'll be back in a little bit as soon as the pumpkin squash is done. Okay, so our lentils are now ready, and we can now serve them. These look delicious. And here we are. Bon appetit. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you do make this dish, let me know down in the comments how it came out. Also, if you have any questions about anything, feel free to comment and I'll be more than glad to respond to you. Again, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you can keep up to date on the new videos that I upload. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.